Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting informed, with a few surprising facts and hopefully enough interest to keep you listening.
Absolutely.
Today we are diving deep into, well, just one source, but it's a really acclaimed one. It's a comprehensive review of Khaled Hosseini's novel, A Thousand Splendid Suns.
A powerful book for sure.
Right. And our mission here is basically to pull out the core insights, the emotional weight from this review, so you get a really clear picture of the book's impact without, needing to read the whole review.
Or even the book itself, maybe, for a first taste.
Exactly. So how does a story that covers, 3 decades of Afghanistan's really turbulent history, Soviet invasion, Taliban rise, all that, how does it become such a personal, unforgettable story about just two women?
That's the magic, isn't it? It's this huge canvas, but an intensely intimate focus.
So our source today is this detailed book review published back in 2007. The book itself. Historical fiction, drama.
And the author, Khaled Hosseini, people probably know him from The Kite Runner. This was his second novel. Big shoes to fill after the first one.
Definitely. The setting is Afghanistan,
Yeah.
roughly 1960s to the early 2000s. And like we said, the heart of it is these two women, Mariam and Laila. Their lives cross paths through, incredible hardship, sacrifice, but also love.
A very specific kind of love forged in difficult circumstances.
Yeah. So this deep dive, we'll unpack that story, the big themes, and why this book apparently hits readers so hard, giving you the essence, really.
Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack that narrative core. Mariam first. She's introduced as an illegitimate child, a Harami from Herat. Life starts with isolation, rejection by society, by her own father mostly.
A really rough beginning.
And it gets worse. She's forced into marriage with Rashid. He's much older, lives in Kabul, and turns out to be abusive. It's just harrowing, sets a very specific, very somber tone.
And then you have Layla. Totally different start, almost. She's bright, educated, beautiful, growing up in Kabul with dreams, but then war completely shatters her world.
Right, the backdrop of conflict is always there.
Always. And a really cruel twist of fate, as the review puts it, lands her in Rashid's household, too. So she meets Mariam.
And this is where it gets complex, because initially they're rivals, right? Co-wives in this oppressive home.
Exactly. Rivalry, suspicion. But what's fascinating, and what the review really stresses, is how that shifts. It evolves into this incredibly deep bond, almost like a mother and daughter.
Yeah, the review calls that alliance the soul of the novel. That's a strong statement.
It is, because together they face just immense suffering from Rashid. Physical, emotional torment. But somehow, through that shared experience, they find this unbreakable strength in each other.
It's more than just comfort, isn't it? It's described as this glimmer of hope and humanity in an otherwise brutal world. Yeah. Their bond is almost an act of defiance.
Precisely. It shows how connection can be resistance, even in the most horrific situations. It's not just passive endurance.
So, beyond the plot, the review talks a lot about Hosseini's writing. Describes it as lyrical, evocative, emotionally potent. How does he actually do that on the page?
Well, connecting it to the bigger picture, it seems to be his descriptions. They're haunting, incredibly vivid descriptions of Afghanistan itself.
The place comes alive.
Absolutely. The beauty, the destruction, the resilience of the people. You can almost smell the spices, feel the dust. The setting isn't just backdrop. It's woven into their emotional lives. And the review points out his deep empathy, especially for the female characters. He captures the sheer harshness of their reality under patriarchy, under war, but with real sensitivity and grace. Not just showing the brutality, but their inner lives, their thoughts.
That's a fine line to walk.
A very fine line. And he seems to manage it incredibly well, according to this analysis.
Okay, so that really brings us to the deeper themes, which, seem to be why the story sticks with people, where it gets really interesting. Let's start with female oppression and resilience.
Right. The review frames the novel almost as a tribute to Afghan women who, despite facing unbelievable injustice, hold on to this core inner strength.
And it's often a quiet strength, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not necessarily loud rebellion, but this refusal to be completely extinguished.
Exactly. It's resilience in the face of near constant adversity. And tied into that is sacrifice and redemption.
Yes. How does that play out?
Through both Mariam and Laila, the analysis suggests sacrifice becomes more than just loss. It's shown as this profound act of love, sometimes leading to a form of redemption, a way to find meaning.
Giving something up to protect someone else or for a greater purpose.
Precisely. And then there's motherhood. both biological and crucially chosen motherhood. The review highlights this as maybe one of the most powerful, transformative kinds of love in the whole book.
The bond between Mariam and Laila sort of becomes that, doesn't it? A chosen maternal bond.
It really does. It explores what nurturing and protecting means, especially when born from shared trauma.
And then there's war and loss. It's always there, this backdrop of conflict. Soviets, Civil War, Taliban.
But Hosseini's skill, as the review notes, is keeping the focus personal. War isn't just headlines. It's about how it shatters individual lives, causes displacement, deep personal loss. It's seen through Mariam's and Layla's eyes.
So when you put all these themes together, oppression, resilience, sacrifice, motherhood, loss, what's the intended takeaway for the reader? What's the impact?
Well, the review points to the book's major strengths being its emotional depth and character development. Mariam's journey, especially.
Tell me more about that.
Her arc is described as one of the most tragic and inspiring in modern literature. You see her go from this place of complete isolation and pain to finding connection, courage, and ultimately making this incredible sacrifice. It's a full, heartbreaking, but weirdly uplifting transformation.
Wow. And it's not just the individual characters, right? The review also mentions the cultural representation.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Giving an authentic voice to women often silenced, making their struggles but also their strength visible on a global stage.
And that solidarity between Mariam and Laila, the review calls it the emotional heart, a rare depiction of female friendship under duress.
Absolutely. It pushes back against stereotypes of women always being rivals, especially in polygamous households. Their bond is central, active, strengthening.
Okay, but no book is perfect. Does the review mention any, let's say, weaknesses or nuances?
It does acknowledge a couple of things. One is the sheer weight of the themes. The trauma is persistent, and for some readers, it can be emotionally exhausting, overwhelming even.
That makes sense, given the subject matter.
Right. And the other point is about the plot. Some twists might feel maybe a bit overly dramatic, but the critique counters that by saying these events often reflect the brutal reality of the time and place.
So less melodrama, more stark realism, perhaps.
That seems to be the argument, that it's reflecting lived experiences, however harsh they seem.
Okay, so summing up the review's conclusion. A Thousand Splendid Suns isn't just a novel. It's called a journey through sorrow, resilience, and ultimately, hope.
A journey is a good word for it. And a tribute, like we said, to the strength of Afghan women, especially those suffering silently. It gives them a voice.
And the emotional power is stressed again and again. It's not just sad. It makes you feel empathy, anger, admiration.
Right. It aims for deep emotional engagement, not just observation. The review calls it a must-read for anyone who values powerful storytelling grounded in historical reality and emotional truth.
High praise. And the rating reflects that.
It does. 9.5 out of 10. Very high.
And that final thought from the reviewer is pretty memorable. This novel will stay with you long after the last page, haunting your thoughts, breaking your heart, and stitching it back together with threads of hope and humanity.
Leaves an impression, definitely. It suggests the book does more than just tell a story. It changes something in the reader.
Yeah. This whole deep dive into just the review really shows how impactful a single story can be. It's like opening a window onto experiences, onto emotions that maybe aren't often shared so widely.
And how Mariam and Layla's story goes beyond just plot. It really becomes this testament to human connection, to the spirit surviving incredible odds.
So that leaves us with something to think about. Considering the power of this chosen family, this bond forged in shared struggle that we see in A Thousand Splendid Suns, how might understanding connections like that in such extreme circumstances maybe challenge or deepen how you define what real resilience actually looks like?
That's a great question to ponder. What does resilience truly mean when stripped down to its core?